the question is, why are there so many more canine cancer clinical trials than there are for feline? There's a couple reasons for that. One is the large body size of the dog. That gives us the ability to draw more blood, to have access to larger tissue samples, and to follow them for longer. So we do see that's part of it. The other is dogs tend to get pediatric cancers. Cats tend to get geriatric human cancers, head and neck, things like that, whereas dogs tend to get cancers that are relevant to children, and so it's a little easier sometimes to study these canines in their course of the disease than it is to study children. So osteosarcoma is a perfect example of that. The disease is identical between dogs and children. And genetically, we can't separate them out when we do global transcriptomics based on species. We can only separate them out based on type of osteosarcoma. So they're so similar that the dog makes an excellent model. The incidence of that disease in the dog is also higher than it is in people. So in children, it's a pretty rare disease, but it's about 10 times more prevalent in dogs, making it easier to study. So for those reasons, those are some of the big ones. Other reasons include the temperament of cats. And so some cats are wonderful at home, but you take them into the vet and they are ninjas, and quite difficult to wrangle. They also don't do as well in hospital. And so in many cases with the lab, as long as you give them a treat, they will forgive you for drawing blood 3 or 4 times. And those cats don't forget, and a lot of times become more difficult to handle. So there are some issues with that. There are feline clinical trials, and we've had one at Texas A&M for oral squamous cell carcinoma in the cat, and so they do exist, but they are fewer. And part of that is related to size, but also the fact that they tend to get diseases for which it's easier to study them in humans. And the prevalence, so 50% of all dogs over the age of 10 are going to get cancer, but only 30% of all cats over the age of 10 get cancer, so it's a little more common in the dog than it is in the cat as well.